I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Wednesday, April 27th, 2022, and we are live. Welcome to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, the future of radio. And we're also broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. Well, today was a very busy day, and we're just a few days away from the One Africa Power and Unity Conference. And as I told you on Sunday's show and Monday's show, today we're going to be joined by another one of my teachers, Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene. You've seen him in the Hidden Colors documentaries. You've seen him in, we're in the Black Friday documentary series together, as well as we're also in Elementary Genocide Part 3 from director Raheem Shabazz. He's going to join us here in a few minutes, and we're going to talk some about his topic. He's going to be one of the presenters at the One Africa Power and Unity Conference, and we're going to discuss his topic at the conference, which is Pan-Africanism through the power of unity and knowledge of self. Pan-Africanism through the power of unity and knowledge of self. All right. So, the conference is coming up Saturday, April 30th and Sunday, May 1st. You've been hearing the ads here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. I'll be there as well. Be sure to come by my vendor booth in the African marketplace because I have my DVD lectures there. I'll be registering people for my online history classes, and you can talk to me also. So we're going to speak with Professor Kaba today. We're going to speak with Professor Kaba here in just a minute. And then also I want to do, there was a story dealing with Emmett Till that I saw a couple days ago, that April 22nd. Associated Press has this story, and it was picked up by the Detroit Free Press. All the news outlets carried this story. Emmett Till's relatives want the woman who accused him prosecuted for 1955 kidnapping. Now, I posted this on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and it got, I think, close to 3,000 likes and hundreds of comments. Okay, so we're going to talk. We're going to talk about this as well. Okay, this is very interesting. All right. Emmett Till's relatives want the woman who accused him prosecuted for 1955 kidnapping. And what we found out in this article here is that back in 1955, so we know Emmett Till was killed August 28th, 1955 in Money, Mississippi. At the time, there was a warrant issued for Carolyn Bryant, who was the wife of Roy Bryant, who was one of the men who killed Emmett Till. There was an arrest warrant for her for being involved in Emmett Till's kidnapping. And the arrest warrant, the authorities at the time said the woman had 2 young children and they did not want to bother her. So the arrest warrant was never executed. Okay. Emmett Till's family want authorities to launch a kidnapping prosecution against the woman who set off the lynching by accusing Emmett Till of improper advances in 1955. FBI records show Carolyn Bryant was never arrested or brought to trial in a case that shocked the world for its brutality. So we're going to talk some about this because there are many roadblocks here in this case. One of the roadblocks is basically all the witnesses are dead. 1. 2, from reading the article here, the authorities don't know where the original arrest warrant is. Okay. And you need to have witnesses and have evidence. All right. So we'll talk some about this. And, we've dealt with Emmett Till here on the show numerous times. We know when the Department of Justice a couple of months ago, when the Department of Justice closed his case. We broke this down here on this show and explained why the Department of Justice could not bring charges. Okay. And many people were under the impression that Carolyn Bryant had recanted her testimony. Okay. And as we went through and broke down the actual evidence, there's no evidence that Carolyn Bryant actually recanted her testimony. Okay, so we broke this down here on this show, and we actually went through the 16-page Department of Justice report that they put out when they closed the investigation. Okay, so we're going to talk about that as well. I'm going to give you a quick update on a story that we dealt with on Monday's show, dealing with Ben Crump suing Wells Fargo over African Americans being discriminated against when it comes to refinancing home mortgages. I wanted to get to the follow-up to that story on yesterday's show, but we were so busy. We had Sister Felicia on from the One Africa Power and Unity Conference. We also talked about Joe Biden signaling that he's going to cancel some student loan debt, in addition to the $17 billion has already been canceled. So I didn't get a chance to get to that story. All right. So we'll deal with that, and we'll speak to Professor Kaba in just a minute here. All right. On the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. All right, let's jump into this first story here, and this deals with waiting on to get Brother Kaba on the line. So this deals with this story right here, dealing with Emmett Till. Okay, and just a second. All right. Shakita, do me a favor. Can you get Professor Kaba on the line, please? Well, okay. So, we covered this story on Monday. Now, back in March, there was a huge report from Bloomberg. Okay. BloombergNews.com. Wells Fargo rejected half its Black applicants in mortgage refinancing boom. Wells Fargo rejected half its Black applicants for mortgage refinancing, half its Black applicants in mortgage refinancing boom. Fewer than half of Black applicants were approved by the biggest bank mortgage lender. All right. So, and as we talked about a couple of days ago, 47% of African Americans who applied to refinance their home mortgage with Wells Fargo, only 47% were approved. Okay, compared to 72% of white homeowners who were approved to refinance their home mortgage. Okay, now on Monday, April 25th, 2022, civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump held a press conference alleging Wells Fargo's discriminatory loan practices kills Black opportunity. Ben Crump, who has represented the families of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, held the press conference at the Mount Zion Second Baptist Church in Atlanta, and included several Black homeowners who have joined the class action lawsuit against Wells Fargo Bank. All right, let's just go to break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation and Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
The work that I do is larger than the fashion industry. It's larger than the art world. And I believe that I was born to bring newness into this world. I'm Kaima McIntyre. I'm 24 years old and I'm an artist. I create everything from paintings to jewelry design, metaphysical jewelry to be specific, and fashion design. The only reason why my prom dress went viral is because people needed it. Within a few days of going viral, Notori Naughton reached out to me and she's like, I saw your dress, can you make me a dress? I was equally as shocked to be asked by a celebrity to design their dress at the age of 17. That's just one person, and the list just continues to go on, to Janet Jackson, to Tyra Banks. It really hits home. That means that the discussion is happening on the grounds in real time.
Hotep and the African History Network show. We deal with current events of history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. It was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the compass of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know.
We have it all on 910 AM Superstation.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. Once again, it is Wednesday, April 27th, 2022. On the line, we're joined by another one of my teachers and one of the presenters at the One Africa Power in Unity Conference taking place in Detroit, Saturday, April 30th, and Sunday, May 1st at the Doubletree Hotel. We want to welcome back to the African History Network show, Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene. Hotep, brother, how you doing tonight?
Hotep to my brother Imhotep. Thank you for the invitation, brother. Been looking forward to this conversation. We go back a ways, brother.
Yes.
And I'm just happy to be back here with you again.
Absolutely, man. Going back to like 2009, man, and I remember you came to speak at the African Village, man, the convocation of the African Village. So yeah, we go back a ways, brother.
Oh yeah, and you brought me to Detroit a couple times too.
Yes, we did that too. We did some joint lectures together, also. Yep, absolutely, man. Yep. So, yeah,
no doubt.
So, people are looking forward to your presentation that's coming up this weekend. And your topic you're going to deal with in a nutshell, Pan-Africanism through the power of unity and knowledge of self. And for those that are not familiar with Professor Kaba, he's a historian. He taught in the public school system in New York, all different grades, but he's a historian. He's an author, lecturer. He's in the documentaries. We're in Elementary Genocide Part 3 together from director Raheem Shabazz. We're in the Black Friday series from director Rick Mathis. He's also in the Hidden Colors documentaries and also 1804 as well from director Tariq Nasheed. So, brother, give people a synopsis of what you're going to talk about in your presentation.
So, point that I'm trying to make, as I looked at all the other great scholars that will be there and the information that they'll be sharing, because I wanted to come from the perspective to understand that when we talk about one Africa united, one of the things I've come to realize is that before you can unite with somebody else, and that could be anybody outside yourself,
right?
Before you can unite with anyone else outside of yourself, you have to first unite with yourself.
Yes.
And the way in which I believe you unite with yourself is to know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so it becomes important that self-knowledge, know who you are. And when I say this, brother Imhotep, I'm not just speaking as an African.
Yes.
I'm speaking about as a human being, as an organism that's living on the earth. Who are you? Why are you here?
Right.
What's your purpose? Each and every one of us has been given a divine purpose to fulfill. No matter who we are, no matter where we find ourselves in the station of life, we all have a purpose. And I believe as an educator, one of the things that I worked on with our students was to facilitate them finding that purpose, not giving it to them.
Right.
You can't tell somebody what their purpose is. Only the person can know that. But it is the self-exploration that allows you to facilitate and understand who you are and what gift you've been given. Every human being has been given a gift.
Right.
No matter what it may be, all of us have a gift. You to facilitate and understand who you are How do you make it better? Dr. John Henry Clark, who I consider to be my teacher, always says, Booker T, that's before I was Kaba.
Yes.
He said, perfect your craft. Always do better.
Mm-hmm.
Always know you can do better. And so what I'm attempting to do is to talk about the importance of uniting with brothers and sisters around the world. I, like Dr. Clark, my proverb is, and by the way, I'm a foundational Black American.
Okay.
And because of this conversation that we're having, it's important for us to be able to, at least from where I'm coming from, I can be a foundational Black American and also be a Pan-African.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, it's Pan-African or perish. This is what Dr. Clark used to say.
Yeah.
No one group is going to get out ahead over everybody else. We're either going to stand together or we're going to fall apart.
Exactly. And I just had Dr. Leonard Jeffries on Sunday, and that's one of the things he talked about, Pan-Africanism or perish. But go ahead.
For me, that's the bottom line. And I believe that I have dedicated my life to my people. I've dedicated my life to peoples of African American descent,
mm-hmm.
foundational Black Americans, however we want to term that. I've lived my life doing that, but never at the expense of another brother or sister from another part of the diaspora. If you are from Ghana, you're my family. If
right.
you are from Jamaica, you are my family.
Mm-hmm.
If you are from Puerto Rico, you are my family. Whether you embrace it or not, whether you accept it or not, that's your business. But as far as I'm concerned, the African diaspora is my family. But at the same time, I can also be proud of my people who come from the colonies, come from the continental United States of America.
Right.
And I believe that if you're Jamaican, you should look out for your people. You should look out for other Jamaican people. If you're from Puerto Rico, you should look out for other Puerto Rican people. If you're an African from Holland, you should look out for your people. Because as each group get ourselves together, we then make a better contribution to the diaspora itself and Africa, the continent, in herself.
Yes.
But you got to know yourself. Beyond just your culture, you have to know your place in the cosmic reality.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'd like to talk about. And I'd like to talk about the science of how to study it.
Okay, the science of how to study. Now, let me ask you this question here. Let's deal with some definitions quickly, because people come to these conversations with different levels of understanding of history. So please define for people what Pan-Africanism is, because you have some people who say, well, Africans are not Pan-Africanists. And you have some people thinking that they have to, Pan-Africanism is a religion or something like that, or I ain't no African, I'm Black. So explain to people, what is Pan-Africanism?
Okay, from my definition,
mm-hmm.
just the way I'm contributing my ideas.
Okay.
Pan means all.
Yep, in Greek. Yep.
Africa means Africa. So Pan-African means all African. Now let me give you an African terminology.
Okay.
That my brother Kaba Hiawatha has given us.
Okay.
It's called Nebu Afrika. Nebu means all.
Mm-hmm.
But not just all in the terms of human beings, all in terms of nature.
Okay.
And Afrika, 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 it means the very nature of the flesh of all that embodies us as a people and as a nature.
Okay.
So to me, Pan-African is, if you want to be specific, it is all people who embrace their African history and culture.
All people who embrace their African history and culture.
Yes. Now, I made a little bit of a change in a sense, because, we talk about people who say that, well, there are Africans who don't embrace African Americans. There are African Americans that do not embrace people from the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. And there are African Americans that don't embrace their own African American.
That's what I'm about to say. And they're African people that don't embrace themselves. They're African Americans who hate their own people. And largely, we have to understand, Brother Kaba, I'm going to let you finish. We have to understand, we African people in this country have largely been taught to hate themselves and see reality through the eyes of Europeans. Okay, So we have to come to that realization. That's at the foundation. Absolutely. That's why we have to reclaim African history and culture, because Bantu Stephen Biko, one of our great South African freedom fighters, who was portrayed by Denzel Washington in the movie in 1987, Cry Freedom, Bantu Stephen Biko said the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. So we have to take our minds back.
That's it. And, that's the bottom line. I'll give you an example. I always tell this story about back in the day. I was introduced in 1975 to a musician by the name of Bob Marley from Jamaica.
Bob Rasta Marley. Bob Rasta Marley. Bob Marley. Okay.
Okay, and I heard a song he sang called Trenchtown Rock.
Yes.
And I remember listening to that song. I had never been to Jamaica before.
Okay.
Wow. When I go to Jamaica, I want to go to Trenchtown.
Okay, yes.
And my wife and I, when we got married in 1981, she was from Jamaica. Mm-hmm. And we went for our honeymoon to Jamaica, and I met people there, and they said to me, is there anything you want to do? Like, you want to go to the Taino Museum? You want to go to the Marcus Garvey Memorial? At the time, Bob Marley had already joined the ancestry, and they said, you want to go to his memorial? Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, I want to do all that, but one thing I want to do is go to Trenchtown.
Trenchtown, yep.
There were a lot of people that told me that Trenchtown was bad man's land. You don't want to go to Trenchtown.
Okay.
They robbed you. They beat you up. They do things. And I said, no, I want to go to Trenchtown. And so we found somebody that would take us to Trenchtown. And we were driving in Kingston, and, we kept driving. Then all of a sudden, the person that was going to bring us stopped the car, and they went inside. And we were waiting for her to come back.
Okay.
And I said, wow, it's taken her a long time to come. And they said, well, no, she went in to change her clothes. Mm-hmm. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, this is her house right here.
Okay.
And I looked around, and I said, but she lives in Trenchtown. Because, the way they were telling me, I was expecting to see something.
Okay.
And I looked around, and the only difference between her community and mine, I grew up in a project in New York, and our buildings were 6 stories high, and it was concrete on the ground. Trenchtown was 3-story high, and it had a dirt path. That was the only difference between Trenchtown.
A dirt path.
And where I grew up. The point I'm making is that they make us afraid of ourselves.
Yes.
When brothers and sisters come into America, they say, stay away from an African Americans. They're bad people. Mm-hmm. Be scared of them. They rob you. They steal. They're into drugs. And so they make us afraid of each other, so we never know each other.
Exactly. Okay, hold that thought right there, Professor Kaba. We're coming up on a break. Hold that thought right there. We're coming up on a break. They're playing my music. We'll let you continue on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show. We're speaking with Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, another one of my teachers. He'll be speaking at this weekend's One Africa Power and Unity Conference. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have the information there. We'll give you more information on the other side of the break. We'll be back in a few minutes. Jeanette Davis is a well-established author with 6 published books. Black Survival in White America from Past History to the Next Century was published in 1995, and it delves into the history of African Americans before slavery up to contemporary times. The Great Divide Between Blacks and Whites was released in 2008, and her autobiography, Black Just Like My Mama, was published in 2010. Soulful Journey, The Business of Beings, was released in December 2021, and her 2 latest books, Echoes from the Heart, Love Throws Poetry, and Master Being Human, were both published in January of 2022. Jeanette Davis' writings delve deeply into the psyche of Black people from ancient to contemporary times. She cuts no corners and leaves no stones unturned in relating truth, letting the chips fall where they may on both African and European doorsteps. Order Jeanette Davis's books today at Amazon.com. Search for Jeanette Davis and get to know her work today.
STEM Forward, helping our community find their place in the emerging fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Join us for our monthly live stream on our website, stemforwardedu.org. Watch, subscribe, share. Also join our mailing list to stay up to date with STEM resources and opportunities. STEM Forward, the future is now. Watch, subscribe, share.
Nine ten, the Superstation, Detroit's only African American talk radio.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Wednesday, April 27th, and we're speaking with Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene. The call-in number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. He's going to be speaking this weekend at the One Africa Power and Unity Conference. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have the information around the homepage of our website and the link to click on to register. This is taking place Saturday, April 30th, Monday and Sunday, May 1st at the Doubletree Hotel, 525 West Lafayette Boulevard. If you cannot attend in person, you can live stream it around the world. I'll be there at the conference also. Be sure to come by my vendor booth, and I'll have my DVD lectures there. You can register for my online history classes that I teach also. So let's go back to the phone line. Okay, Professor Kaba, so right before the break, we were talking about knowledge itself when we're talking about Pan-Africanism and your concept of what Pan-Africanism is. Go ahead and finish your thoughts, please.
My bottom line is that we have to introduce ourselves to each other.
Yes.
That's my point. My point is that when folk come here, we need to come together and begin to express ourselves as to who we are to our brothers and sisters.
Yes.
I have met phenomenal brothers and sisters from all around the world who respect, admire, and identify with us as their brothers and sisters. I spend great deals of time talking to brothers and sisters like that. I also know that there are those that may not care to be there, and I understand that too. I spend my time talking to those who are listening.
Right.
And it is they who we speak to that are receptive to us that then can go and talk to others to explain to them who we are as a people. Because as an African American, the one thing that's very important to understand when you come to America from any part of the world, if you're coming to America for a better opportunity, you need to thank African Americans.
Yes.
Because African Americans is what made America great. It is on our backs that America was built as the place that would be the kind of place that would give benefit and would be beneficial for other people. But if you don't know that history, then you come here with the explanation that other people who would wish to have you be against us, and you believe them.
Right.
No place in the world that I've ever visited that I do not pay homage and respect to the elders of that community.
Right.
Wherever it may be. In Mexico, Holland, UK, United Kingdom, Egypt. I pay homage to the Africans there because it is they who made their country what it is.
Right.
It is the African American, the foundational Black American, that labored on the enslavement camps here in the United States and gave of their lives, their blood, their sweat, their tears, and fought for a better opportunity that made America the so-called democracy that they claim it is. If you want to know how democracy is in America, look to the conditions that African Americans are in. And that can be your measuring stick as to the success of democracy. And right now, as I look, America ain't doing too.
Right, exactly. And we're also fighting against domestic terrorists and domestic terrorist sympathizers who are trying to overthrow the government, suppress our vote. They 147 of them, 139 in the Senate and 139 in the House and 8 in the Senate, voted not to certify the 2020 election results. And we see this constant erosion. We see this constant attack not just on voting rights, but on African Americans in general. We see these anti-Black, anti-African policies being put in place. We look at Governor Ron DeSantis in Georgia. We look at Brian Kemp in Florida. So this is, as I've said before, and I want to go to this slide here dealing with a quick definition of Pan-Africanism from the book Pan-Africanism for Beginners here in just a second. But as I've said before, all this is taking place right now, Brother Kaba, and you taught history. This is a continuation of the Civil War and Reconstruction. Okay, the January 6, 2021 insurrection is a continuation of the Civil War. And it's a continuation of Reconstruction ending, the Compromise of 1877, and the attacks on African Americans during the Jim Crow era after Reconstruction ends. It's a continuation of the Clinton, Mississippi riot of 1875, Vicksburg, Mississippi massacre 1874, all of that. So this is why it's so important to understand history. There was an article from Time magazine, and I have it up here on the screen so people can see it. This is an article I reference a lot, and I deal with this in my class that I teach, dealing with from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. The name of this article is called "A New Report Finds That 45 States Are Failing to Teach Students About the Period That Shaped Race Relations After the Civil War." They're talking about Reconstruction. And they cite Eric Foner, historian Eric Foner, Pulitzer Prize winning white historian. But he draws a direct connection between the violence, the political violence, January 6th, and the violence that was imposed upon African Americans that brought about an end to Reconstruction. To one of the things was surrounding politics and to suppress our vote, and the violence that continued after Reconstruction ended as well. You want to comment on that?
Well, that's why Dr. Clark would say, "I'm surprised that you're surprised."
Exactly. I'm surprised that you're surprised. Yep.
Nothing has changed. This is who they've always been.
Mm-hmm.
When people talk about the danger of democracy falling, America has never been democratic.
Yes. Yep. Not to live up to its not to live up to its highest ideas, and to really live up to the Constitution, what it promises in the Constitution. There's never been that. Not for us.
Well, when they wrote the Constitution, African people were enslaved, and women weren't far behind that.
Yes. Yep.
So they have never done this.
Mm-hmm.
So that this is a work in progress right now, yep. And it's African Americans who are the measuring of what a democracy is in America.
Yep.
And so we as a people have to get ourselves together. We must take the initiative to reach out to our brothers and sisters and to let them understand. This is why the One Africa Conference is so important,
right? Because
we have people like Dr. Theophilus Obenga and others who are coming with this knowledge and wisdom for us to be able to understand who we are as a people, as a global people. But I even take it further as it relates to the books that I've written, as it relates to us as a cosmic people.
Yes.
As a people of nature. And so we have got to take into our hands. Dr. Clark also has a piece up on YouTube where it's titled, "You Ain't Got No Friend."
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening now, even between Ukraine and Russia, I'm doing a webinar series.
Okay.
And it's up on my Facebook page. It's also on my website, www.kabakamene.com, where I'm actually tracing what is going on as the African is moving into the northern climate, getting caught in an ice age, and how they're acting. Mm-hmm. What's going on between the Ukrainians and the Russians was going on 5,000 years ago. There's nothing new here.
Conflict, yeah.
The Ukrainians and the Russians are the same people.
Yes, yeah.
This is the Hatfields and McCoys.
Right.
They've been fighting each other. That's all they know is to fight each other.
Yep. And if you go back, go ahead and finish your thought.
No, I'll follow you.
Yeah. You go back to before when you had kingdoms in Europe, And you have, after the fall of the Roman Empire, 476 AD, when it's attacked, the western portion, when it's attacked by the Vandals and the Visigoths, you look at that period of time that they call the Dark Ages, and you look at the fighting between the Vandals, the Visigoths, the Anglos, the Saxons, the Lombards, the Jutes, the Franks, the Alans, the Picts, all these what are called Germanic people, or collectively called barbarians. Right. When you go study, then they form from kingdoms, they form countries. Right. And the Franks, you know, at one time it's called Gaul, but then it's called France. The Anglos and the Saxons, they go into what we call England. England's named after the Anglos. When you go and look at their history, just going back from, say, World War I, World War II, back to when they were Germanic people or barbarians and fighting and killing one another. They've been fighting and killing one another for hundreds and hundreds of years. You know, really over 1,000. Really over just in that recent time.
War during wars.
Yes, yes.
They were. Listen, go to Wikipedia and put in the bar "wars in Europe." I was going to do an overall presentation, but I have to stop because the listing of the wars in Europe went page after page after page.
Right. Yeah.
They have fought over fighting.
Exactly. Okay.
And so what we're looking at now is nothing more than the same of what has been going on for thousands of years.
Yep. Okay, hold it right there. We're coming up on a break. When we come back from the break, I want to deal with this definition of Pan-Africanism and let you finish up as well. Everybody, you listen to the African History Network show. We're speaking with Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene. We'll be back in a few minutes. Abundant Capital Group is a real estate investment company with over 20 years of experience in real estate. They specialize in two areas of real estate. One, they solve real estate problems with creative financing solutions that give the seller the most money for their property. And two, they show individuals how to get a higher rate of return on their investment capital with real estate note investing. If you are looking to sell or need to sell your property, here is what they provide. Market value offer, even if you have little or no equity. They typically pay all closing costs, which can be thousands of dollars. They close on a date of the seller's choosing, and the seller does not have to be out of the house at the time of closing. They take the property in an as-is condition, and the seller is not required to make any repairs. Give them a call or email them today for a free consultation and see how they can help you with your real estate needs. Call them at 973-475-8488. That's 973-475-8488. Visit their website, abundantcapitalgroup.com. That's abundantcapitalgroup.com. And email them at acg@abundantcapitalgroup.com. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Abundant Capital Group.
The work that I do is larger than the fashion industry. It's larger than the art world. And I believe that I was born to bring newness into this world. I'm Kiama McIntyre. I'm 24 years old and I'm an artist. I create everything from paintings to jewelry design, metaphysical jewelry to be specific, and fashion design. The only reason why my prom dress went viral is because people needed it. Within a few days of going viral, Notori Naughton reached out to me and she's like, I saw your dress, can you make me a dress? I was equally as shocked to be asked by a celebrity to design their dress at the age of 17. That's just one person, and the list just continues to go on to Janet Jackson, to Tyra Banks. It really hits home. That means that the discussion is happening on the grounds in real time.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation Future Radio. All right, we're speaking with Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene. He's a historian, lecturer, author, one of my teachers as well. We go back a number of years, and he's going to be one of the presenters at the One Africa Power and Unity Conference taking place Saturday, April 30th, Sunday, May 1st at the DoubleTree Hotel right here in Detroit. Okay, so we have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and click on the link there. You can register for the conference. If you cannot attend in person, there's also a ticket for the live streaming. So you can live stream the 2-day conference and watch from around the world. Okay. All right. So Professor Kaba, right before the break, you were talking about wars in Europe. And I went to Britannica because I have a monthly subscription with Britannica. I pay them money each month. So I try to use these subscriptions that I pay everybody: Washington Post, New York Times, Reuters, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Britannica, the Discovery Channel, National Geographic. I paid National Geographic. But I typed in wars in Europe here for Encyclopedia Britannica. And it comes up with the 30 Years' War, European history, 1618, 1648, the Iroquoians of Huronia, dating the years from 1754 to 1763, the Christmas Truce, World War I. Then they talk about the Balkan Wars, the World War I, 1914, 1918, World War II. Go ahead and finish your thoughts there dealing with the wars in Europe.
My bottom line is, we know that now it's time for,
Okay, you're breaking up. Say that sentence again. You were breaking up.
we must get ourselves.
We must get ourselves together.
We must get ourselves together, family.
Yes. And
To me, it's up to us.
Yep, exactly. And it's not over till we win.
And that's my bottom line. We're spending too much time thinking about and talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
Every moment we spend talking about them is a moment we cannot spend talking about us.
Right. Exactly. And this is one of the reasons why I say that when it comes to politics, we have to understand. So we had, I just had Professor James Small and Dr. Leonard Jeffries on the show Sunday. And one of the things Professor James Small is talking about, and when Dr. J and Professor Small teach, they talk about the pyramid principle. And the foundation gives us our African history and culture. This gives us, and then that's connected to our economic empowerment and political empowerment, right? And we have to understand that politics is a tool. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth upon resources and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. We should be leveraging our economics to force our political agenda and enforce our political agenda, as opposed to waiting on what are the Democrats going to do? What are the Republicans going to do? Damn all that. We need to be forcing our own agenda, taking control of our destiny, as opposed to leaving our destiny up to other people.
That's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
Our proverb or our mantra when we get up every morning,
mm-hmm.
when we look in the mirror and love the creator that we're looking at,
yes,
we should say, if it is to be, it's up to me.
Yes.
But it can't be up to you if you don't know who you are. So it goes back to self-knowledge, and that's what I want to talk about this Saturday.
Yes.
At the One Africa Conference.
Exactly. Now, very quickly here, because we only have a few minutes left here in the show. The book Pan-Africanism for Beginners by Sid Lamel, pages 11 through 13. And I have a slide up here on the screen. I deal with this in a lot of my presentations. He gave a brief, general, easy to understand definition of Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is an ideology that African people around the world and throughout the diaspora should be united. It deals with social, cultural, political, economic, material, and spiritual aspects. Okay, it doesn't matter who, and I added this in, it doesn't matter who your colonizer was or who your colonizer is. Okay, Pan-Africanism teaches that the fate of African people worldwide is intertwined, and we share not only a common history, but a common destiny. Do you think that's an accurate general synopsis of what Pan-Africanism is?
Absolutely. And there's evidence of it.
Okay.
There's evidence of the cultural unity of Black Africa, as Dr. Sheikhat Diop has shown us, the great Senegalese scholar.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the music of America, and you look at the music of Africa, when you look at dance, when you look at culture, when you look at our food, when you look at how we conduct ourselves,
right?
When you look at the spirituality of Nigeria, Yoruba,
mm-hmm.
when you look at the spirituality of Spanish-speaking Africans that practice Santeria, the French-speaking Africans, Voodoo,
yes,
the Portuguese-speaking Candomblé, Obia of the English-speaking Caribbean, and whether they realize it or not, the American Black Baptist minister, all goes back to Africa.
Okay.
There is a cultural unity amongst us.
Right.
It differs because of geographic locations and because of different influences that environment may have. But when you get down deep inside of it, once you go back, you always get Black.
Once you go back, you always get Black. Exactly. And the way I say it is, the deeper they dig, the blacker the planet gets. The more research they do, the older we get. Okay, because there's archaeological discoveries coming out, man, every other week, and they keep having to push the timelines back. You remember Juvenile had the song "Back That Thing Up" like 1999. I tell them when these archaeological discoveries come out, they keep having to back that thing up. They keep having to back the timelines up.
Yeah, always, and it's going to go back even further,
mm-hmm.
and it's going to go back not only further but more accurately when we begin to determine for ourselves,
yes,
and we analyze our history.
Mm-hmm.
But we must do this.
Exactly. You know, power is the ability to define and shape reality, and have other people accept your definition of reality as if it were their own, as our great scholar Dr. Wade Nobles teaches us. Okay, brother. Well, look, we're out of time here on the African History Network show here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. Let people know how they can follow you, get in contact with you, your website, social media platforms.
Thank you for the opportunity, brother. Family, please go to my website, www.kabakamene.com, KABAKAMENE.com. You can download my free e-course and study guide, and you can keep up with my work. You can also get my books that I've written, Spirituality Before Religions, Shabaka Stone, and Story of Professor William Leo Hansberry. And my Instagram page I use as my community bulletin board. I keep us up to date as to work that I'm doing, some of the ideas that I have. I post some of my ideas, and that's at Kaba Kamene, KABAKAMENE. And if you should be so inclined, my Cash App is $ Kaba Kamene 7.
Okay.
Thank you, family, for your support.
$.
Thank you, brother Imhotep.
Let me just get a shit. $ Kaba Kamene 7. Okay. And also, shout out to Amadeus Christ as well. Kaba is in the documentary Out of Darkness from director Amadeus Christ. And I know Amadeus, we've done a screening together of the documentary. But also, Heavy is the Crown is the new documentary from director Amadeus Christ is coming out. And Professor Kaba and Professor James Small are in the new documentary Heavy is the Crown as well. Okay, brother, well, look.
And go ahead. Heavy is the Crown I filmed in Detroit.
Yeah, you filmed that in Detroit. Okay. All right. He filmed me for a documentary. It's dealing with business, so I guess hopefully it'll come out next couple of years. He filmed me. It was at Nandy's Knowledge Cafe. He filmed me when she was on Woodward Avenue. He filmed me there a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay. All right, brother.
Yeah, okay.
All right, brother Kaba. Look, you have a good night. Hotep to you and the family. Congratulations on the new grandbaby. Also, I talked to your wife tonight. She told me you have a new grandbaby.
That's it. Yep. I call it Kika. Sage Rose. Thank you, my brother, and the very best to you and to yours and to all that are listening.
Yes.
Keep in mind, keep on keeping on. It ain't over till we win.
Yep.
And for our children, the future wealth of the planet is solar power.
Yep, solar power.
And isn't it interesting where the sun shines the brightest, the people are the most melanated. It's like the Creator put wealth in our backyard.
Right. All right, brother, we're out of time. Hotep, have a good night. All right, everybody. Thanks for those watching on Facebook and YouTube. Keep watching for a few more minutes. We're going to keep going. We're going to try to squeeze in this story here dealing with Emmett Till. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Okay. All right, everybody. All right. So that was Professor Kaba Kamene. Great interview with him. And I want to remind you, you can still register for my new 10-week online course. We had class number 1 on Saturday, April 23rd was class number 1 of ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Okay. And we go through, look at this history chronologically. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. And we have a preview of the class right on the homepage of our website also. I'm going to post a link here again. So the class is on sale, $80, regularly $130. As soon as you register, you can watch class number 1 that we just did. The next class is Saturday, May 7th, because I'll be at the One Africa Power and Unity Conference. And I was trying to see if there's a way I could do teach a class this weekend. I can't do it. I'll be at the conference all weekend. And then there's the gala. There's the gala Saturday night. So I won't be able to teach the class this weekend. So next class is Saturday, May 7th. Okay. I'm going to post a link here. As soon as you register, you can watch class number 1. There's also bonus content that you can watch, and I'm uploading more bonus content also. All right. And then we also have a bundle pack where you can register for all 3 classes that I teach. We have a bundle pack that's $120. That also includes from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Okay. Class number 1 starts up Sunday, May 1st. Sunday, May 1st, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. And that we deal with history from 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase and the Haitian Revolution through 1968. We deal with the Civil War, what leads up to the Civil War taking place, Civil War, Reconstruction, Jim Crow era, Great Migration, World War I, World War II, Civil Rights Movement, Black Power Movement, and we deal with all that history, okay? And we deal with it chronologically. So that second class starts up Sunday, May 8th. Then the third class that I teach is Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization. So we have the bundle pack here. If you've taken any of my online classes in the past, email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You'll get 50% off. All right. Okay. So I want to squeeze in this this next story here. This is dealing with let me see here. Let's go. Yeah, we're going to go to the Emmett Till story. All right. So I posted this article on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, a few days ago. And it got over 3,000 likes. Got over 3,000 likes, hundreds of comments. Emmett Till's relatives want the woman who accused him prosecuted for kidnapping. Emmett Till's relatives want the woman, Carolyn Bryant Donham, want the woman who accused him prosecuted for kidnapping. And what this article reveals is that there was a arrest warrant. There was a arrest warrant for kidnapping issued in 1955 for Carolyn Bryant Donham, who was the wife of Roy Bryant, who was one of the men who killed Emmett Till. The arrest warrant was never executed. Okay, it's an interesting story behind this. All right, so if we look at this article here. And this is from the Associated Press. It was picked up by the Detroit Free Press. I looked at a number of different articles. Most of the articles out there picked up the story from the Associated Press. It's the same story. So this is from April 22nd, 2022. It says, stymied in their calls for a renewed investigation into the killing of Emmett Till, relatives and activists are advocating another possible path toward accountability in Mississippi. They want authorities to launch a kidnapping prosecution against the woman who set off the lynching by accusing the Black Chicago teen of improper advances in 1955. Now, Carolyn Bryant Donham was named nearly 67 years ago in a warrant that accused her in Emmett Till's abduction. In a warrant that accused her in Emmett Till's abduction. All right, now. All right, let's see here. Okay. Accused her in Emmett Till's abduction. Even before his mangled body was found in a river, the Tallahatchie River. Now, FBI records show that she was was arrested or brought to trial in a case that shocked the world for its brutality. So she was never put on trial. She was questioned, but she was a witness. She was questioned, but she wasn't on trial. She wasn't charged with anything. The arrest warrant was never executed. Okay, so here's what happened. Authorities at the time said that Carolyn Bryant had 2 young children, and they did not want to bother, her. Carolyn Bryant Donham's then husband, Roy Bryant, and another man, J.W. Millam, his half brother, were acquitted of murder, okay, by an all-white jury. Then a few months later, they were interviewed by Look magazine, paid $4,000 for the interview, and they admitted to killing Emmett Till in the interview in the magazine. But because of double jeopardy, they could not be tried again for the murder that they were acquitted of the charges. Now, just think about this, okay? You have Emmett Till, who's dead. So the authorities at the time, these white authorities, did not want to bother her because she had 2 young children. But Emmett Till was a young man and he was dead. But they didn't want to bother, quote unquote, bother this white woman. Now, relatives of Emmett Till still prefer a murder prosecution, but there is no evidence the kidnapping warrant was ever dismissed. Now, it was never executed, but there's no evidence the kidnapping warrant was ever dismissed. So it could be used to arrest Carolyn Bryant Donham and finally get her before a criminal court, said Jerobu Hill, an attorney working with the Emmett Till family. Quote, this warrant is a stepping stone toward that. Because warrants do not expire, we want to see that warrant served on her. Okay. Now I think she's in the 80s. I think she's like 87, something like that. But there are problems here. There are many roadblocks because basically most of the witnesses have died. Okay. And this goes back to when we dealt with this a couple of months ago, and even last month when the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill passed, and we dealt with that story. We went through the report that the Department of Justice put out about their investigation and why they were closing their investigation. Okay. And I know people were saying, oh, she recanted her testimony. No. One, she said she did not recant her testimony. 2, her daughter-in-law said she never recanted her testimony. 3, there's no evidence that she recanted her testimony. Okay, we'll talk about that here in just a minute because we dealt with this. We dealt with this last month, and when we dealt with this also back in December when the case was closed. December 2021, when the Department of Justice investigation was closed. And once again, if you actually go through and read the Department of Justice report, and here it is here. We went through it, a lot of it here on the show. If you actually read through it, you'll see why they closed the report. The name of it is Emmett Till Notice to Close File. Emmett Till Notice to Close File. I'll go to it in just a minute. But it goes through step by step. It goes through step by step through the whole investigation, what they were able to find, what they couldn't find, lack of evidence, all of that. They go through and explain everything. All right, now let's go back to this piece here. So witnesses have died in the decades since Emmett Till was lynched, and it's unclear. What happened to evidence collected by investigators. It's unclear what happened to evidence collected by investigators. Even the location of the original warrant is a mystery. They don't know where the original warrant is. It could be in boxes of old courthouse records in LaFleur County, Mississippi, where the abduction occurred. Now, a relative of Emmett Till said it's long past time for someone to arrest Carolyn Bryant Donham in Emmett Till's kidnapping, if not for the slaying itself. Quote, Mississippi is not the Mississippi of 1955, but it seems to still carry some of that era of protecting the white woman, said Deborah Watts, a distant cousin of Emmett Till, who runs the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation. Now in her late 80s and mostly living in Raleigh, North Carolina, Carolyn Bryant Donham has not commented publicly on calls for her prosecution. She did not seem to know she had been named in an arrest warrant in Emmett Till's abduction until decades later, said Dale Killinger, a retired FBI agent who questioned Carolyn Bryant Donham more than 15 years ago. He said, quote, I think she didn't recall it. She acted surprised. I think she didn't recall it. She acted surprised. She's 88 years old, because I have another article here from Yahoo News that they picked up from AtlantaBlackStar.com. So I have the news, she's right around 87, 88 years old. Okay. So here's a picture of her here and her husband. All right. Back at the trial. September 22nd, 1955. Carolyn Bryant rests her head on her husband Roy Bryant's shoulder after she testified in Emmett Till murder court case in Sumner, Mississippi. Okay. Now, the Justice Department closed its most recent investigation of the killing in December of 2021, when the agency said Carolyn Bryant Donham had denied an author's claim. Author Timothy Tyson had denied his claim that she had recanted her claims about Emmett Till doing something improper to her in the store where she worked in the town of Money, Mississippi. The writer, Professor Timothy Tyson, could not produce. Now, this is extremely important. Okay, he could not produce any recordings. He could not produce any recordings or transcripts to back up the allegation, authorities said, that he basically started making about a month before he went on his book tour to promote his book about Emmett Till, called The Blood of Emmett Till. Emmett Till's relatives met in March of 2022 with officials, including District Attorney Dwayne Richardson, the lead prosecutor in LaFleur County, but left unsatisfied, Deborah Watts said. Quote, there doesn't seem to be the determination or courage to do what needs to be done, end quote. Well, see, the tricky thing is that you have to have evidence. And that's like was frustrating here. This is a 67-year-old case. Basically, most of the witnesses are dead. You have to have evidence. Richardson has been in office for about 15 years and was the first Black person to serve as president of the Mississippi Prosecutors Association. He did not return phone messages or emails seeking comment about a potential kidnapping case. Now, okay, so read the rest of this here. I want to go to this clip here from This is from WJTV Channel 12. I think they're in Mississippi. And this is Emmett Till relatives. Till relatives seek accusers' prosecution in 1955 kidnapping. All right, let's go to this clip here.
Relatives of Emmett Till are hoping to launch a new investigation and prosecution against Carolyn Bryant Donham, the woman who accused him of improper advances. Now, FBI records show Donham was named nearly 67 years ago in a warrant that accused her in Till's abduction. Even before Till's body was found, she was never arrested or even brought to trial. Now in her late 80s and most recently living in Raleigh, North Carolina, Donham has not commented publicly on calls for her prosecution. She did not seem to know she had been named in an arrest warrant in Till's abduction until decades later. Till's relatives met in March with officials, including District Attorney Dwayne Richardson, the lead prosecutor in the case, but left unsatisfied. A distant cousin of Till, Deborah Watts, says there doesn't seem to be the determination or courage to do what needs to be done. Emory University.
Okay. So I searched and searched and searched. I found very little news coverage on this. I saw some articles. I found very little news coverage on this development here. Very little news stories from like local news outlets, local TV stations. I ain't see something from MSNBC, things like that. All right. But that's WJTV Channel 12. I think that's out of Mississippi. Now, there was another article from, this one here is from Yahoo News, and they picked up this story from AtlantaBlackStar.com. It's called By Any Means Necessary. Emmett Till's family calls on authorities to use 1955 kidnapping warrant to apprehend woman who wrongly accused the Chicago teen. For some reason, in the title, they put 1995. It's 1955. They need to proofread this. So it may have been a mistake from Yahoo News when they picked it up, or may have been a mistake from AtlantaBlackStar.com. I'm not sure. Okay, this article here is 1955, not 1995. All right, by Nyamiki Daniel. This is from Wednesday, April 27th. Okay, so one of the things here that they talk about in the article, we scroll down here, Roy Bryant. I want to go here to Duke University professor. Okay, U.S. Department of Justice reopened a closed investigation into Emmett Till's murder and kidnapping in 2017 after a professor, Timothy Tyson, wrote in a book, the book is called The Blood of Emmett Till, that Carolyn Bryant Donham confessed to him about lying in court about the events leading up to the crime. Okay, now, once again, when that story broke in 2017 and the headlines were saying that she recanted her story and all this stuff, I read numerous articles on this. I talked about it here on this show, the African History Network show. But I still had questions because I kept reading and reading and reading. And I'm like, okay, where's this smoking gun that you said that you had? And the biggest smoking gun that I could find in statements from Professor Timothy Tyson was, he said that she gave him a readout of the transcript, and he said she pointed to a portion and said that's not true. But he never said what was not true. He put out a statement that said, she said, nothing that boy did could justify what happened to her. Well, we know that. That's not evidence either. So if we look at this article here, he wrote in a book that Carolyn Bryant Donham confessed to him about lying in court about the events leading up to the crime. Duke University professor Timothy Tyson said Carolyn Bryant Donham told him in 2008, okay, very important, 2008. He interviewed her twice. In 2008, her daughter-in-law was present for both interviews, okay? He said that Carolyn Bryant Donham told him in 2008 that Emmett Till had never held her waist, touched her hand, and said, "How about a date, baby?" This is what he alleged that she said in an interview he did in 2008. Donham, who is now 88 years old, denied recanting her story when questioned by the FBI, because the FBI launched this investigation in 2017 because of the statements that Timothy Tyson was saying, and he said he had the evidence and he did 2 interviews, things like this. Well, when it came time to put up or shut up, he said he lost one of the interviews. They were audio recordings. He said he lost one of them. He turned the one he still had over to the FBI. The FBI said, "Okay, there's no recantation in this interview that you submitted to us." And then they put in the report, they said that he kept changing his story of whether or not he actually recorded her recanting her story or not, because he provided no evidence that she recanted her story. He said he lost one of the interviews. Now, he interviewed her because he was writing a book. He said he lost one of the interviews. It was an audio recording. You don't back up your audio recordings on external hard drives. I'm not writing a book. I have 7 external hard drives. You don't back up. You interviewed her for your book in 2008. Now, first question I have to ask, and I've said this here on the show before. If you interviewed her in 2008 twice, and you thought you had smoking gun evidence, why the hell you wait till 2017 to say something about it a month before your book came out? That's the first question I have to ask. If you did 2 interviews with her in 2008 and you're writing your book, you interviewed her for your book, okay, and now you got smoking gun evidence, why'd you wait 9 years to say something about this smoking gun evidence? Now, Professor Timothy Tyson did not record the confession. Federal prosecutors said it would be impossible to prove that she did recant her testimony because they don't have any evidence she did it. Just him saying she spilled the beans, and he has no evidence she spilled the beans. Carolyn Bryant Donham did not explicitly say that the physical encounter did not happen. The Department of Justice closed the case in December 2021. This is why you got to read this stuff. Get past the headlines, get past the emotions, read this stuff. Because I was skeptical back in 2017 when this information came out and all the headlines. I read all that stuff and I'm like, okay, now you say you got a smoking gun and all this stuff and she spilled the beans and she recanted. I'm reading these articles. I'm like, I'm reading his statements. Where's the recantation? Where's the evidence? A Mississippi grand jury declined to bring manslaughter charges against Carolyn Bryant Donham in 2007, citing a lack of sufficient evidence. In 2004, federal authorities opened an investigation into the murder as part of its cold case initiative, but determined years later that the Department of Justice lacked jurisdiction to bring federal charges. Once again, where's your evidence? Quote, the government's reinvestigation found no new evidence suggesting that either the woman or any other living person, because all the witnesses basically are dead, that either the woman or any other living person was involved in Emmett Till's abduction and murder, end quote, the Department of Justice said in the December 6, 2021 media release, which is, and this is their 16-page report right here. We went through this on this show to break this down and show you why you have to get past the headlines and actually read this stuff. The Department of Justice said in the media release, December 6, quote, even if such evidence could be developed, no federal hate crime laws existed in 1955. Even if, because retroactive, the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill that just passed is not retroactive to 1955. Okay, the Emmett Till anti-lynching law that just passed is not retroactive to 1955. They didn't have federal hate crime laws in 1955. And the statute of limitations has run on the only civil rights statutes that were in effect at the time. And then also the statute of limitations for perjury is between about 5 to 7 years, depending upon the state. Depending upon the state. The trial was 67 years ago. Okay, now, very quickly here, because we're running out of time and I have a lot of work to do. If we go back and look at this report that we looked at before, and I'm just going to focus on pages 4 and 5. You can go read the rest of it. This is the actual report that the Department of Justice put out when they closed the case. See if I can pull this up here. Okay. Okay, this is it right here. This is at justice.gov, which is the official website of the Department of Justice. I strongly encourage people to go to justice.gov and do some research. All the press releases and things like this, all the news dealing with the Department of Justice is at justice.gov. So if we look at this briefly here, I want to focus. This is from December 6, 2021. I want to focus on pages, pages 4 and 5. Section D, which is titled Timothy Tyson's Claim that they have her name blacked out, recanted her testimony. Carolyn Bryant Donham recanted her testimony. Okay, hold on. Where's the actual body of this that I want? Prosecuted Kristen Clark. Where's the body of this? Okay, hold on. Let me pull this. Okay, this is what I want right here. It's notice to close file. Emmett Till notice to close file. This is what I want. That's what the document is called. Emmett Till notice to close file. Okay, if we scroll down, I want to go to page 4. Okay, section B. I want to go to section D. Okay, this section C deals with the 2004 federal investigation. I want to deal with section D. Timothy Tyson's claim that Carolyn Bryant recanted her testimony. No additional investigative steps were taken by the federal or state government in the next decade. Then, shortly before the publication of his book, The Blood of Emmett Till, in 2007, Timothy Tyson, the professor, where is it? Then shortly before the publication of his book, The Blood of Emmett Till, in 2017, Timothy Tyson revealed in several media outlets that Carolyn Bryant had, during an interview with him nearly a decade earlier, recanted the account that she had provided under oath during a hearing at the trial of Roy Bryant, her husband, and J.W. Miller. Okay, so you have to ask yourself this question. Now, just look at this here. If you got this smoking gun evidence and you saying she recanted testimony, things like this, why'd you wait almost a decade to say something about it and reveal it to several media outlets, okay, shortly before the publication of your book about Emmett Till? Does that sound suspicious to you? I'm just asking, does that sound suspicious to you? Sounds suspicious to me. I've been doing radio 12 years. It sounds really suspicious to me. Now, Timothy Tyson's account suggested that Carolyn Bryant Donham lied in court and lied during the FBI's 2004 investigation. Okay, because they investigated her in 2004. She didn't recant her testimony. They couldn't prove she was lying in 2004. Now, she may have been lying, but you have to have evidence to prove it. If you charge her and you go to court, she's going to have defense attorneys. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she lied, recanted her testimony, lied to the FBI. Okay, you can't try her for what she said at the trial. But if they can prove that in the interview the FBI did in 2004 with her, that she lied to statements that she gave the FBI, if they can prove that she lied, now you can file perjury charges based upon the 2004 investigation, not based upon what she said on the witness stand in 1955. The statute of limitations already ran out for perjury in the 1955 case. Specifically, Timothy Tyson stated that Carolyn Bryant Donham admitted that her representation that Emmett Till had made verbal and physical advances toward her in the store was, quote unquote, not true. This is the claim Timothy Tyson made. In the book, his book, The Blood of Emmett Till, which was published the following month, Timothy Tyson wrote that Carolyn Bryant Donham said, quote, I have thought about everything about Emmett Till, the killing and the trial, telling who did what to who. And then she murmured, quote, they're all dead now anyway. He wrote that while trying hard to distinguish fact from remembrance, Carolyn Bryant Donham revealed a story different from what he thought he knew about the incident. Specifically, he represented that Carolyn Bryant Donham handed him a transcript of sworn testimony and claimed that part's not true. Okay. Now I read that statement in 2017 when the information came out. I'm asking the same question right now that I asked in 2017. What part's not true? He then wrote, if that part's not true, I asked what did happen that evening, decades earlier. According to him, she said, I want to tell you, honestly, I just don't remember. It was 50 years ago. You tell these stories for so long that they seem true, but that part is not true. Nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him. We know nothing he did could justify what happened to him. That's not evidence. That part's not true. I'm asking the same question today in 2022 that I asked in 2017. What part's not true? Timothy Tyson didn't say. And if he did say, he couldn't provide evidence to prove that she recanted any testimony. In the book, Professor Timothy Tyson identified a September 8th, 2008 interview with Carolyn Bryant Donham and accompanying handwritten notes by the author as his sources for these and other statements of Carolyn Bryant's included throughout his book. Professor Timothy Tyson also relied upon a draft memoir of Carolyn Bryant, a draft memoir Carolyn Bryant had written but had not published. Now, Tyson's claim of Carolyn Bryant Donham's recantation understandably caused outrage in Mississippi and around the country, and it was widely reported by numerous news outlets in both print and television media. Interested parties questioned whether, having recanted her prior statement, Carolyn Bryant Donham could be punished for her previous lies. If confirmed, a recantation of Carolyn Bryant's account of what happened inside the store would raise questions about previous about the previous federal and state decisions to decline prosecution. The department's previous conclusion about what role, if any, Carolyn Bryant had in Emmett Till's abduction and murder, and whether any other person previously identified was complicit in the underlying crimes. And of course, a recantation would directly contradict both her testimony and the state proceedings in 1955 and the statement she provided to the FBI during the previous investigation. The current investigation, which ended December 2021, was designed to identify evidence corroborating Professor Timothy Tyson's claim that Carolyn Bryant Donham recanted her 1955 testimony, and whether there was additional evidence identifying: 1, previously unknown information having been complicit in Emmett Till's abduction and murder; 2, any previous unknown living subject; and 3, a basis to support any other federal or state charges. In re-examining these issues, the FBI interviewed Carolyn Bryant Donham, they interviewed Timothy Tyson, the professor, and persons close to or associated with them. In addition, the government also re-interviewed the last surviving member of the group of young men who accompanied Emmett Till to the grocery and meat market that Carolyn Bryant worked at, and who was present, and this person was present when Emmett Till was abducted from his relative's home. The FBI also obtained and reviewed other relevant documents, conducted forensic computer analysis, and consulted with case agents familiar with the earlier investigation. The FBI quickly identified a significant obstacle in the investigation. Professor Timothy Tyson conducted 2 separate interviews with Carolyn Bryant Donham and recorded and transcribed both interviews. Okay. However, the key statements that Carolyn Bryant Donham reportedly made to Professor Timothy Tyson recanting her testimony were neither recorded nor transcribed. Were neither recorded nor transcribed. So he didn't record them, he didn't write them down. The FBI learned that Professor Timothy Tyson had lost one of the recordings, the one during which Carolyn Bryant reportedly recanted her earlier statements and sworn testimony. Still don't understand why you didn't back up your audio recordings on external hard drives. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Moreover, Professor Timothy Tyson, now this is really important right here. Professor Timothy Tyson gave inconsistent explanations of whether there had ever been a recording of the admission, and if not, why none had been made. Because he talks about how, okay, she started spilling the beans before he could start recording. So did you record her recanting testimony, or you didn't record her recanting testimony? Do you have evidence that she recanted testimony, or you don't have evidence? Still trying to figure out why it took you 9 years to say something, and you interviewed her in 2008, but you waited to 2017, about a month before your book came out, to say something. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Professor Timothy Tyson also gave differing accounts as to when Carolyn Bryant Donham made the recantation. And Tyson told investigators that although Carolyn Bryant Donham did not specifically identify any part of her testimony as untrue. This is important right here. This is why you got to read past headlines and actually do some damn research. Professor Timothy Tyson told investigators that although Carolyn Bryant Donham did not specifically identify any part of her testimony as untrue, he understood from the context of their conversation that she was referring to her allegation that Emmett Till had physically accosted her in the store, and that this connection was recorded in his written notes. Professor Timothy Tyson's notes, however, do not include such a connection. Yeah, you go into court with that if you want to. That ain't gonna work. That's not evidence. These facts would preclude the government from proving beyond a reasonable doubt that Carolyn Bryant Donham recanted her previous testimony when speaking with Professor Timothy Tyson in 2008, and therefore that she lied to the FBI when she did not have done so. Read the rest of this. This is what I'm trying to explain to people. You got to get past headlines. I've been doing this for a long time. I had questions back in 2017. I'm like, okay, I'm reading this stuff. I see the headline, recanted testimony, all this stuff. Okay, now I'm going through, where's the evidence? You can read the article also from the AtlantaBlackStar.com. Now, interesting portion here in the article, because they talk about interesting piece here in the article, because they talk about other accomplices that apparently are dead as well. And this was it because the investigation, let me see, where is that? Mississippi. They talk about other people who were involved in the kidnapping. Black men helped them. Okay. According to reports, at least 4 white men tortured and hung the 14-year-old Emmett Till from the rafters in a barn before dumping his body in the river. A woman and man took him from his uncle's home, and 3 black men helped keep him in the back of a truck, the Mississippi Center for Investigative Reporting found. Emmett Till's relatives have continuously revived calls for Donham to be charged in the teenager's murder. Okay, read the rest of this article. Now, quick update to the story that we covered on Monday's show. Also, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me /the AHN Show. Okay, this helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, buy all these ink cartridges and paper and all this stuff that I go through, pay for these services, helps pay for these services that I use to do the show and all of this. We have the information on the homepage of our website. This is the official Cash App account, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN Show. We have the PayPal button there. When you go to our Cash App account, it says Michael and shows my picture there. These other ones here are fake African History Network Cash App accounts that I'm trying to get shut down. Cash App has opened up an investigation into them. I finally was able to get to somebody in at Cash App and explain what was going on. Let me post this here. All right, now we talked about the Wells Fargo story on Monday, and we played an excerpt of the press conference that took place. And where is that? Black Enterprise had this article here. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump says Wells Fargo discriminatory loan practices is killing Black opportunity. And this deals with Wells Fargo allegedly discriminating against African Americans trying to refinance their home mortgages. Okay, so there was a story that I saw. So there's a class action lawsuit filed. We know there was a press conference held on Monday, April 25th. There was a good story by a local news source, local news station, WSB-TV, out of Atlanta. Class action lawsuit claims Wells Fargo discriminates against Black borrowers. I want to go to this story here. Where is that? Okay, right here. Okay, let's go to this. Let's go to this clip here, and this story here from WSB TV Channel 2 out of Atlanta. And I need to get past the ad. But a class action lawsuit alleges the banking giant Wells Fargo discriminates against African American borrowers at all stages of the home loan process. Henry Yamina is a IT professional with a sterling credit record, and he had down payment money ready to purchase a home, but he said there was no explanation for why his mortgage with Wells Fargo, where he's banked for 2 decades, was never approved. I keep waiting, and I push the closing date from April to May and from May to June, and meanwhile I was still renting, Yamina said. He finally went elsewhere for a loan. Now, he's one of the named plaintiffs in the class action lawsuit against Wells Fargo. Attorneys behind the lawsuit gathered with clients at the Mount Zion Second Baptist Church in Atlanta's historic Old Fourth Ward to discuss the case. They're discriminating against Black people, and it's systemic, Benjamin Crump said. The lawsuit alleges Wells Fargo denies mortgages for Black borrowers more often, charges higher interest rates for Black borrowers, charges them higher costs and fees, and offers African Americans fewer refinancing opportunities. Okay, let's go to this. Go to this clip here. Just a second. All right.
Discriminating against African American. Action News investigation uncovers allegations of racial discrimination against Wells Fargo Bank. A lawsuit alleges that the bank's discriminating against African American borrowers. Wells Fargo customers who are part of the suit gathered today in Atlanta, sharing some of their stories. Channel 2 investigative reporter Justin Gray covering this tonight live in Atlanta's Old Fourth Ward Park. And Justin, this is a class action lawsuit that could eventually affect thousands of people.
Yeah, Justin, the class action alleges that Black borrowers are both more likely to be turned down for a loan and more likely to pay more for a loan at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo tonight calling it an unfounded attack.
I pay on time. My credit is good.
An IT professional with a sterling credit score and down payment money ready to go, Henry Umayana, said there was no explanation for why his home loan with Wells Fargo, where he's banked for 2 decades, was never approved.
I keep waiting, and I pushed the closing date from April to May, from May to June. And meanwhile, I was still renting, you know.
Umayana finally went elsewhere for the loan. He's one of the named plaintiffs in this class action lawsuit, alleging Wells Fargo discriminates against Black borrowers at all stages of the mortgage process. Attorneys behind the class action gathered with clients today at the Mount Zion Second Baptist Church in Atlanta's historic Old Fourth Ward.
They're discriminating against Black people, and it's systematic.
The lawsuit alleges Wells Fargo denies mortgages for Black borrowers more often, charges higher interest rates for Black borrowers, charges them higher costs and fees, and offers fewer refinancings.
I thought I was a shoo-in.
Atlanta resident Christopher Williams long worked in finance himself and says the real estate loan Wells Fargo offered him came with a much higher rate than it should have, and then he found elsewhere.
My credit score was just under 800 before I applied. When they told me my credit score, when I applied, they told me it was 100 points less.
Wells Fargo characterizes the lawsuit as, quote, unfounded attacks, telling us in a statement, we are deeply disturbed by allegations of discrimination that we believe do not stand up to scrutiny. We are confident that we follow relevant government-sponsored enterprise guidelines in our decision-making and that our underwriting practices are consistently applied, regardless of a customer's race or ethnicity.
Seems like the only common denominator was the color of the applicant's skin.
Now, Wells Fargo counters this evening to us that it is the largest lender for home loans for African Americans in the country. Now, the attorneys for this class action say they won't know how big the class is until they can get discovery, get documents from Wells Fargo, but they estimate that tens of thousands of Black Wells Fargo customers could be impacted here. Reporting live in the Old Fourth Ward neighborhood, Justin Gray, Channel 2 Action.
All right. So that's from WSB TV, Channel 2 in Atlanta. All right, look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.
What does self-care mean to you? To us, it's an opportunity to reconnect with nature. A chance to create something remarkable. At Sage and Elm Apothecary, our handcrafted skincare and household products immerse you in Earth's sweetest nectar, connecting you to nature in a way you never imagined. See for yourself and visit us at sageandelmapothecary.com.
STEM Forward, helping our community find their place in the emerging fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Join us for our monthly live stream on our website, stemforwardedu.org. Watch, subscribe, share. Also join our mailing list to stay up to date with STEM resources and opportunities. STEM Forward, the future is now. Watch, subscribe, share.